Hello and welcome to Flashback Generations, episode number 4. Today we are going to be talking about the Imperial Droids. As before, this is a skirmish version of the game as opposed to the campaign. That's our primary focus. There is Sai and Pete here.
Hello.
Minus a car. We don't have the car today.
Yep.
So yeah, but I'll be joining us shortly, I'm sure. So yeah, let's just jump straight in. Let's go with the grey card. Pete, do you want to run through it?
Yeah, grey Pro Droid. He's only 3 points. He's one of the cheapest in the game. He has got 5 health, which is a decent amount of health for a model of that cost. He's got speed 3, so he's quite slow. Black defense dice. His gun is quite interesting. He's got 1 blue and 2 yellow dice, so his gun can do quite a lot. Because 2 yellow means you get a lot of surges, and the surges he's got is surge plus 1 damage. That's always good. Surge pierce 1. That's equally good, pretty much. And surge recover 1, which is okay on a 5 health model. If he survives a little bit, he can recover a bit and survive a bit longer. But it's not the end of the world.
And mobile.
Mobile, yeah. So he can float over terrain, blue terrain, red lines, anywhere. He can sit anywhere he likes, basically. That's on the board.
This is the guy who's made famous in Empire Strikes Back. The hand shoots and he blows himself up.
That's it. I'm not even attempt the sound effect.
Come on.
No, I can't do it.
Okay. It's worth noting that this guy's Empire only, and he comes in units of 1.
Yeah.
So you don't buy him. So 3 points, and that's for the one model that does this. So he doesn't have much damage to his actual card, but he has lots of surges, and with those surges comes a lot of piercing damage.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess he can kind of dish it out.
Blue, yellow can be cheeky. I don't know how many blast damage markers there are on a yellow dice, but I've shot Pro Droids before and been quite surprised at how much damage has flown out. He is a droid, so he's got the droid keyword. So command cards with droid can be used with him, and his big ability is self-destruct. Probably one of the main reasons why people set this guy. There's a few reasons, but self-destruct. At the end of the round, you may roll 1 red die. Each adjacent figure and object suffers damage equal to the result. Then you are defeated. So he blows up 1 red dice to everybody around him and everything as well, any objects. So that's a maximum of 3 damage. That can be great against swarmy lists or for finishing off big hero or vehicle models that are on their last legs. So that's one good reason to take him. He's a bit of an emergency bomb, isn't he?
Guaranteed damage. He pretty much acts as a grenade.
Yeah.
But he's a grenade that can also shoot first, and he does actually have extra.
He does so much more because
he does a lot more than that. He threatens your enemy. Your enemy has to deal with him.
Yeah. Or
suffer those consequences.
Yeah. Also, he can capture objectives because he's a droid. He can hover about and mislead. You can move in one way to make the enemy think you're going to try and bomb them, and then he can zoom off the other way, and mislead and distract. And he's also quite a cheap single model card. So for things like Take the Initiative, where when you use the Take the Initiative card, you have to exhaust a deployment group. This guy's very handy for that as well. You can just exhaust the droid, to use that card, and you don't care that much in most situations that he's not going to get it to.
I would equate this guy quite a lot to the Imperial officer, but he's got a very different utility because he's offensive as opposed to, he doesn't do much for the rest of your group.
Nope.
Such.
In fact, he can blow them up if you're not careful.
Well, yeah, but that's optional. So you're only ever going to blow yourself up if it's beneficial to yourself or your team. But let's check out what does the red one do differently then.
Right, the red one is exactly the same, except he costs 5 instead of 3.
And lots of good stuff.
Well, he's got 7 health instead of 5. Do you know what? I never noticed that. He's got 4 speed rather than 3.
4 speed, that's a massive boost.
That is big.
But, again, he's got self-destruct. But the self-destruct is suddenly, it's quite a drain, isn't it? Because that's 5 points instead of 3 points to do the exact same thing. So you're still 1 red dice. So that's 2 points different. 3 points to 5 points is nearly double the amount.
It is, but if you took this guy for some reason, you're still glad he's got the self-destruct just in case, there's a last desperate situation where if you blow him up, you're going to win. It's going to be 1 in 20 games or something, but it's best to have it than not. But if you're just taking him for the self-destruct, you'd take the little guy, not the big guy.
We should probably point out, so he's got the same blue and yellow dice as the other guy, but his actual abilities are different. Rather than the 1 damage and 1 pierce, he does 2 damage, 2 pierce, and recover 2. So this guy actually can do an awful lot more. Recovers a lot better. He damages a lot better. He hits harder. Like this guy is actually. He is the big brother in every respect. He is,
yeah. He's got mobile again, and he's got the targeting computer, which the other little one hasn't got. While attacking, you may re-roll 1 attack die. That's always good on any figure.
That targeting computer has come out as an additional upgrade card.
Yeah.
And it does the same thing, but it's very specific to vehicle and droid. Whatever.
Heavy weapons, isn't it? Yeah.
Heavy weapons, yeah. So that costs a point, but you have to attach it to something. So he gets that for free.
Now wait a minute, hang on. If you attach a targeting computer skirmish upgrade card to a red probe droid, do you get to re-roll 2 attack die? I wonder. That's a question for another time, maybe.
I would let you, because I'd be thinking you're wasting your waste.
Yeah, waste a lot of points.
You're wasting your points.
Theoretically,
you've got 2 yellows and a blue. None of them are especially groundbreaking dice. The blue one is the important one because you actually need to get the range.
I'll be honest, I've not seen many red droids around, out in the tournaments.
No, and straight away you look at him, 5 points to blow himself up. That's a hefty amount of points you've just given away.
Yeah.
No matter what you do with it.
I mean, if you think, what's 3 grey stormtroopers are 6 points? It's more life, more shots, more etc. etc. They've got re-rolls built in. Why would you do that? I'm not sure. Unless you had some very specific plan in mind that you need a droid for, and it's got to be a droid that's quite hardy.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Anyway, let's move on to what they're good and bad for in the list. A type of list that you take them in. So I found what they're bad in is probably what you were mentioning earlier, is a big swarm list. If you've got too many models, it's very hard to actually pull off. They're blowing themselves up, and they don't really work with these swarm lists anyway, because I find that they're just another thing that does the same thing as what your troops will do, but probably a little worse.
Yeah.
The keywords mean that they don't actually react properly with the other guys either. So leader and trooper, for instance, can go hand in hand very well. There's a lot of keywords that can benefit from each other.
Yeah.
But droids, on the other hand, there is certain things, but they don't work with the cheaper troops. Let's go on the flip side. There's you've got what's his name, the Royal Guard champion.
Yeah.
Him on the flip side, you blow a droid up, and then he gets to attack again.
Yeah.
Or the other guys, they get their focus tokens and stuff. So the more expensive guys actually seem to benefit from them.
You do a bet. It's 3 points to give somebody an extra attack. I know it's a devastating attack, but I mean, another thing this guy, especially the cheap one, is good for is it just increases the number of activations you've got. So if you're in that situation where you're trying to waste time and wait for your opponent to commit, this is one more card that you can just go, right, droid activates and does nothing, and then throw the play back to the opponent. You get situations where you're waiting for the other guy to make the first move for whatever reason, and you need more activations to achieve that. You want to save your big deployment group for the last activation of the round. Then this droid helps you get along that. 2 of these will help you get there.
I think we both fall on the same side of the fence here. The targeting computer isn't enough to make the red probe droid worth it, and the self-destruct on the red droid is
counterintuitive.
Kind of a deterrent because he's cost too much to actually throw him away.
Yeah.
Now his speed 4 is a massive advantage. 4 versus 3 is huge.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you really need to, you can actually stick in some cards that can actually enhance your movement, and you get that anyway.
You're more than likely to have somebody else who's got speed 4 anyway, who can do that dash or whatever it is you need doing.
Yeah, you can't have a whole list full of the probe droids. So The speed 3, I feel like the grey ones actually end up being a lot more value for what you're trying to get them to do at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas the red ones they're just difficult to make them work.
Yeah. They're an irritation. The grey ones are useful for activations. They're useful for grabbing objectives. Holding on to things, distraction, and that's about it really. The self-destruct is something that you use if you think you can get a big benefit out of it at the time, but it's situational. You wouldn't just throw a probe droid in and try and blow a load of rebel heroes up early on, because it's a waste of an activation card really.
These were Wave 1 releases. Do you think that do you think that they're still like a mainstay in lists? Do you think that
I think because of the cheapness, the officer does it for 1 point less, pretty much, and he's got better speed and stuff. But this guy, the grey droid, has just got that self-destruct that sometimes, you've run out of other activations and you got this guy, you can zip him round the corner, not very quickly obviously, but do that self-destruct and maybe, knock off the last 2 life off Luke Skywalker, whoever it is.
You've been comparing the droids to the officers, but maybe a more fair assessment would be to compare them directly with the elite stormtrooper, because they're 9 points. So each one of them is worth 3 points, and this guy's worth 3 as well. They've got the same life. The droid's actually got a better attack.
He's got 2.
He's obviously got his extra. Extra everything. So would you maybe warrant 3 of these guys instead of 3 of those red?
Oh, maybe
stormtroopers.
Very, very interesting. Yeah, but
same defense.
They lose the speed. I think the gun's almost better. Blue and 2 yellow is maybe, but as long as you're reasonably close, blue and 2 yellow can achieve more than blue and green. Especially,
I'm giving Pete ideas here.
Yeah, especially with +1 damage and Pierce 1. That's the double whammy. That you can easily get 2 surges on these dice. So you're adding a damage and knocking off one of their pierces. So.
And let's not forget, mobile's a very strong.
Yeah, kind of makes up for the movement a bit, because everybody else is having to walk around that red box or whatever it is, and this guy can just float over it.
Yeah, exactly.
Catch people out.
And the self-destruct is a big ability put in the right place.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's a weird one. I don't think you could build a list around him. I don't think you should fill a list with him.
No, I think that they work as a utility. They're an aggressive utility on a list.
Yeah, they're just hovering along one or maximum 2 of them, supporting the rest of the list and providing activation distraction.
I call them aggressive. They do they never really seem to get focus tokens or anything on them. That would make them really good if they had something else that could really bump up their attack.
Yeah.
Is there any way you can get them red dice? I don't know of any way you can do this.
No, I can't remember at the moment. There's some droid cards have come out, haven't they, recently? I think 1 or 2, but no, I don't think there is really. You can't do much with him.
Maybe
there is the well, going on to command cards, aren't we, Si?
Yeah, we are. But the droid keyword, I think, is the big thing that will make them future-proof, or at least very different. And we'll see what happens with them in the future.
Yeah.
Let's jump onto the command cards then. Right. So first of all, we've got Devotion. So this is a droid-only card. It costs an action. It has that little, I don't know what you want to call it, return, whatever. Choose an adjacent friendly figure, then search your command deck and draw 1 card with that figure's name as a trait. Reveal it, and then shuffle your command deck.
Yep.
I love this card.
Yeah, that's one of the other major reasons to take any droid, isn't it, really?
0 points.
Everybody who takes Luke Skywalker takes a droid and this card, because they want the Son of Skywalker card out, it works for any hero, basically.
Yeah, if you've got, I find that if you've got 2 or 3 heroes, that's a must-have card.
Yeah.
Your one droid, C-3PO, this is one of his best cards, because C-3PO often goes, I wonder what I'll do with my action, and this is usually his thing.
Yeah.
Not to do with C-3PO, this is probe droids. Probe droids they're just as good, really, because they can actually do this as an action. If you get this card out early, such a massive benefit.
Yeah.
You're handing it off to your big expensive character.
Yeah, so you got the likes of, you can get this guy in Scum and Villainy lists, so IG-88, Boba Fett, they like to see their cards come out of the deck.
Yes.
Vader, I can't remember what his card does. Royal Guard Champion really likes his cards to come out of the deck. That's about it. Samos and Sorin I don't know much about. Somos, his card's nice.
Sorin's card.
I think the Rebels
Soren's card actually works for droids.
Does yeah, that's
so
right.
He
That's
makes
right.
them attack everyone who's adjacent to him. So he can actually make those guys all attack again. You know, it's a good card, but it's all a very. This is a one only. It costs 0 points. The 0 points is the strength.
Well, that's a massive risk because that's interesting because if it's a 0 card, it can be negated by the negation card. Is it called?
Yeah, but at the same time, you don't care. If you're using a negation card, then it's okay to use it on that.
Yeah, yeah.
If someone used that on me, I'd be very happy.
Yeah, a negation.
If they use negate on that card, I would feel because it's a 0 point card. I know it's an action you've used up and you've planned for it, but if you can get this off and you can get rid of that negate card.
How many you can only have one devotion, can't you? So
yeah.
Then you're waiting for your Son of Skywalker to pop out of the deck naturally. Then that can be massive, or whatever card it is you're relying on.
I agree. Devotion, though, I think it's if you've got one droid in your list, it can be a bit risky at the same time because if your droid dies or can't catch up or is in the thick of a fight, or if you've got, for instance, IG-88, this card doesn't work with IG-88 because IG-88 needs to be fight all the time. This guy it requires an action, so you need a droid who doesn't need to do things all the time.
Yeah.
So with R2-D2 and C-3PO, it's a very good card. So you need basically, or the probe droids are fine because they're cheap. You don't expect them to win the game.
Yeah.
IG-88, you do. You need him to win the game.
Yeah.
So that's devotion. Next, let's look at Hunter Protocol. This is a droid only card. It costs 1 and you can only have 1 in your command deck. Used while attacking, you may trigger the same surge ability up to twice.
Right. That's cool. Nice for IG-88 again.
It's good for him because he can.
Nice for some of these new assassin droids because some of their stuff is a bit cheeky, isn't it? 3PO, R2-D2, R2. I can't remember what R2 does, but 3PO, yes.
3PO, no, because
he doesn't attack, does he? The surge ability.
Your surge ability does nothing. So this is rubbish. So you have to be able to attack. This is a good one for yellow dice. If you're throwing loads of yellow dice, such as these.
But having said that, they've only the surge abilities aren't that great anyway. I mean they're good, but are they worth devoting a whole card to? So I can recover 2 instead of 1 or whatever, or plus 2 damage instead of plus 1 damage. Is it worth a 1 point card for that? I'm not sure. IG-88, yeah.
Yes, no, I agree. And suddenly, if you're taking this and you want the double and those big hits to come out, then do you want the red probe droids instead of the grey ones?
Well,
I'm still going to say no, but you're right.
There's plus 4 damage and plus 4 recover. Potentially or pierce 4. That's more like it.
Whereas, what's the other guy going to do? He's going to just have a damage. 2 damage or something. So it's not gonna.
It's not worth the card, but I mean, these new assassin droids probably get more out of it as well. They're the middle ground, aren't they? Really, between chump droid and super champion droid. So.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like this card isn't great, to be honest.
If you're droid heavy and you've got combat droids, yeah. Otherwise, I wouldn't bother. If you just got support droids, no.
It's still a point.
Yeah.
So it's you're still really. You're using up a point, and it's a droid only, so it's very specific. If you've got, as you said, Pete, if you've got a droid army, it actually can work.
Yeah.
But there's a few if, ands, and buts about this whole.
Yeah, I think the droid army's possible now, isn't it, with the assassin droids? But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, I think I need to be got by this card at some point, and then realise its true strength. But yeah. And our last card is Overdrive. Used at the start of a round. During this round, each of your droids may suffer 2 damage during its activation to perform 1 additional action. Limit once per droid. 3 points, and you can only have 1 in your deck. Pete's giving me a face there.
Yeah, I don't know. I missed the trick with this one. It seems
it's 3 points and damages all of your droids.
So what does it do again? 2 damage, and then you can do 1 extra action.
Perform 1 additional action. So you cannot actually attack twice.
No, but you could move 3 times or something like that.
I actually don't. I don't quite get this card either.
No.
If we start seeing droids with a lot, do you know what? This will work well with IG-88 because at least IG can actually attack 3 times with it. and he can get his life back.
Yeah.
So this actually works like a cheap overdrive for him. But there's a lot of guys who you've nearly killed them off.
Yeah.
You've nearly there's a lot of most of your droids are just gonna be like, well, now he's nearly dead, and he still gets one attack, but he can move twice.
Well, you've got to be careful if taking 2 damage. Did you take 2 damage at the start of this?
During this round, each of your droids may suffer 2 damage during its activation to perform one. So
right,
you activate it, you can say 2. I'll take 2 damage.
Yeah, I'm going to move 3 times and then I'll take 2 damage and die because I've only got 2 damage left.
Yeah,
or whatever. Well, why you'd ever do that, I don't know.
If you look at C3PO R2, they can. Then suddenly they can do more actions in their turn.
Yeah.
But again, I'm kind of a bit like, do they really
3 points? No.
Do they really need to actually walk in and do all this stuff? It feels very. I think this feels very expensive and very dangerous.
Yeah, and you don't get much out of it either. Each of your droids, yeah.
Yes.
So it's designed for a droid army. It's like suddenly everybody, this robot army surges forward. Sparks flying everywhere, but they're going to wipe somebody out. But it's only if you've got tons of droids. Maybe with the assassin droids, it's worth it. IG-88 leading as many assassin droids as he can, but even so, you're killing your own guys to do it. I don't know. I'm not convinced on that one.
Never seen it, and I'm not sure if I ever will.
No.
Anyway, let's talk about the models. What do we think?
Oh well, the probe droids are quite a special model, isn't it? Because it's standing on it's supposed to be floating along, and it's they modelled it so that it's standing on its tiptoes, and it does kind of look like it's floating along. So it's really clever bit of modelling by FFG. It's just touching the bases in a few places.
Have you seen? A lot of people seem to be getting the flying bases and.
Yeah, I've got them myself. Yeah, the transparent bases. So what you do there is you carefully trim off the plastic base, stick it on the acrylic clear base, which various sets available online. You get like a little post in the middle, a transparent post, so you have to drill a hole underneath the droid and stick it in, and then it really is sort of floating along. But as it comes as standard, it's still a good model. It looks reasonably like the probe droid off the movies, and easy to paint. You just slap the black on and then brush it silver, and then put a few coloured blobs on its eyes here and there if you wish.
It was I thought it was boring to paint.
Yeah, well, I liked it because you just get the brush right, so it looks like it's a bit battle worn. Some of the black paint has come off and the metal's showing underneath, and all the rest of it. And then you can go to town on the lenses if you want to. You can add. I think it's got little aerials stuck on it, but they're quite thick aerials. So I've seen people who've drilled them out and put fine wire, pins on, really gone to town on it. But yeah, you can just spray it black and you're kind of done really if you want to. It's a very easy to paint. Just good.
That's a good one. All right. Well, cheers for listening to the episode, guys, and we'll see you back for episode 5.
Bye.
Bye.